I had such a crazy realization the other day, and I really just want to share it with you guys because it truly was one of those things where you just feel it right away. Like the second it pops in your head, you start to feel the emotions and understand that it's really working. Now, I'm going to get into it a little bit more and explain exactly what I'm talking about. But the main concept of what I'm trying to say here is you need to slow down and be more intentional with what you're doing throughout the day. Okay, that could be as simple as going and making breakfast and not having your phone there and not listening to a video or not listening to music and just being super, super intentional about every little thing that you're making. Okay, like for instance, right? This morning, I was making my own eggs. Usually, what I do is I take three eggs, crack them, put the butter in the pan, let the butter heat up, toss in the eggs. That's it, and to just take it out, put it on a piece of white bread. Don't do anything with bread. What I did now, after getting this realization, is I'm very intentional about every little thing I do for the egg, how I crack the egg, right? And I'm paying attention to how I crack it. I do it nice and slow, right? Three eggs. I get out a cutting board. I cut some cheese, and I actually grade the cheese. And I'm being very intentional with every stroke that I'm doing for cutting it and grading it. And then I'm thinking to myself too. I'm like, I'm making myself something to eat. Make it as good and as intentional as possible, as flavorful as possible. So I'm taking these spices, I'm taking our Italian seasoning, cayenne pepper, paprika, tossing just a tiny little bit of paprika and a tiny little bit of Italian seasoning onto the white bread, right? And I'm doing it evenly throughout the thing, and I'm being super, super intentional about it. And as I'm doing this, I'm starting to notice things slowing down, and I'm getting a sudden urge of peace and calmness that I never really get since I'm always in such a rush, especially with the hustle culture nowadays. Everything just feels like super fast paced, like we're living on 3x speed, right? Um, I guess another thing that just came to my mind is how we're on our phones so often, right? We're scrolling through our phones and we're seeing one thing and it's spiking up so many different emotions, and you're just carrying all these emotions throughout the day because you're not expressing them, you're not releasing them. So you have emotion built up in you, pretty much stacked upon your back. And it can feel like you're being weighed down by the whole world, right? But when we become intentional, when we slow down, when we become aware of our surrounding, aware of what we're doing, right? Not only are you benefiting yourself by creating calmness and peaceness inside of you, but you're also being more alert and helping towards other people, you know? And you'll start to notice that anxiety starts to go a little bit more down each time you start to do it because you're being intentional and you're being aware, and then thoughts pop up in your head. And you're like, oh, okay, let me compartmentalize all of these thoughts that are just shooting through my head, right? They're yapping, 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 yapping. It's like talking, 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 right? Let me just choose, or let me understand which kind of emotions these are and why they're spiking, why they're happening, what just happened in this present moment that caused this reaction in my head, right? Of these thoughts to just start bursting out, right? Um, yeah. So basically, the whole point is, and what I've learned, and I feel like God speaks to me sometimes, right? Speaks to me, and I wish God, and I hope, and I know God will eventually be able to speak to me a lot more clearly, or maybe I'll not God, maybe I'll be able to listen more, right? Listen more to God because I'll be more intentional about being present and asking God questions and listening and seeing signs. It's up to me to do that. God already gives me all the signs that I need, and a lot of the times I'm not aware of it because of the 500 things that I'm doing throughout the day. When in reality, if I could just slow down and do one thing at a time and be super intentional about it and stop thinking about time when I'm doing tasks, everything will slow down and anxiety will leave. This realization just happened to me this week, and I cannot tell you how peaceful it's been for me. Like walking my dog. I used to be in such a rush to walk my dog just to get home, But now I'm just so intentional about every footstep. Every footstep that I make, I'm so intentional about, like, paying attention to the feeling of my foot hitting the ground, right? And just relaxing, letting my eyes rest a little bit more. I can let them feel a little more heavy. Just feeling like I'm going into my shoulders when I'm walking and I'm smiling, right? Just being intentional. I cannot stress this enough. Being intentional is just such a great quality. And I feel like God gives us these powers of being intentional, right? So that we could just be more aware and understand the signs and understand the lessons and understand what happens when something wrong happens, right? Or just being intentional and just general, just so that we could expand our awareness, expand our consciousness, expand just, I guess there's a reason why Buddhist monks are meditating all the time, right? Just slowing down, throwing away thoughts that they don't need. Because at the end of the day, we're supposed to feel as light as a feather, but a majority of us feel as heavy as 4 tons, like 1,000 tons. And it's because we get so much emotional baggage and we're not aware of when things happen to us, right? Bad things or negative things, or just, I hate the word bad too, and I shouldn't be saying that, but because everything happens for a reason, you know, whether it's good or painful, they happen intentionally through God. And it's perfectly in God's way and God's will for that to happen to us. But being more aware makes it so you could really get a deeper understanding of why things happen and seeing patterns. Just like right now, I'm slowing down, I'm breathing. You don't understand the peace that you really do feel when you slow down until you do it. The silence feels so relaxing. Just listening to nothing and sitting here perfectly straight up and just relaxing. We have to slow down. Every day we feel, for sure. We feel tons of emotions, and every day we just race through them and don't understand them when they happen and don't have times to feel them and then let go. We get stuck with them. I know there's probably lots of you out there that have dealt with stuff like this, but weren't aware of what was holding them back for so long until you become intentional about understanding why you're feeling this way. Just throw away the things you don't need. Slow down. I know I keep saying it, but it's so good. It's so good. It's such a blessing to be able to see that finally. Like every day I'm multitasking, doing a bunch of things. I'm playing video games on my phone while I'm using the bathroom. Sometimes I put the shower on and I'm sitting and playing games on my phone for 30 minutes, just playing games. And I'm wasting time and I'm wasting mental energy on things that don't matter. And I'm doing too much at once. You know, it's okay to play games. I'm not saying it's not. Look, I got a controller right here. It's okay to play games. Not because I'm saying that just because I'm trying to compensate or just, feel better about it. I don't really play that much, but I'll play a game here and there. But when I'm playing, I'm no longer going to be doing four things at once while I'm playing. I'm going to just play it and be intentional about playing it and being present about playing it. If I'm feeling lazy and I'm feeling tired, I'm not going to sit at my desk and pretend to work or try to work and think about me being lazy and tired, right? Because it doesn't work. There's no productivity in sitting and thinking about being lazy. If I'm thinking about being lazy, I'm going to go sit down and take a nap and be 100% present in that nap. There's a lesson in that. Be 100% in whatever you do in life, whatever it is. Just be super intentional about it. Super intentional. That's my new favorite word, bro, is intentional. Because you end up getting nothing done when you do 100 things at once. It's so true. Like, as in productivity as well, like, not just emotions. Like, this is just a universal law in my eyes, is what it feels like, being intentional. And I'm going to go read my Bible and see if there's any truth about that, about the intentions or being intentional. I have to start reading my Bible more. I do. But yeah, these are just food for thought. Like, these are just thoughts that I've been having and a realization that I had. And I felt really compelled to share it because I know there's a lot of people out there that are dealing with horrible racing thoughts. And they don't have anyone to talk to. They don't know how to deal with these things. And I also know some people that just didn't make it out because they couldn't understand their thoughts. So, God, I really do hope that this video could help some people understand and really touch their soul. Not like I said anything super prophetic or anything, but like sometimes it's simplicity that hits for people. And maybe I could be that happy medium for someone to just relate in a way where it's simple and easy to understand. But yeah, anyways, be intentional, slow down, don't do 100 different things at once. Listen to God, ask God questions every day, day and night. Try to get used to hearing what God's voice sounds like. Distinguish it. I know there's lots of voices sometimes, and it's hard to distinguish who's who or what's talking to you. Sometimes you get deceived. But try to understand when God is talking to you and try to follow that. If that's the best advice I can give you, is follow God's voice. I felt compelled today, and I felt God tell me to even just make the video so I could understand it better. Because sometimes when I'm speaking to the camera, it helps me understand it in a way that makes it so it kind of gets ingrained into my everyday life and habits. And hopefully that works for you guys too. But I love you guys. Stay tuned for the next video. Peace.